Hi, Karen.
Hi, John.
I love your hoodie.
Thank you. It's yours.
Oh, I think this is affectionately going to be known as the hoodie episode when it goes viral.
Yes.
I think we look great. Oh, sweet. Do we go hoods up?
I don't think so.
Is it going to get hot?
Yeah, it's
Mine
going to get
seems
hot.
a little tight.
We are. Your head looks tiny. Sorry.
Tell me about your friend.
What the fox say?
Oh, what does the fox say? You remember that?
Of course.
That was like...
I heard it on the radio the other day on Sirius on the 10s.
That was
10 spot.
okay. That's like the 2000s, right? Because it was like 2009.
No, the 10s.
Was it? 2010s.
It was 2010s.
Yeah, that's
yes.
probably more accurate.
I don't know, but I heard it on the radio.
You still listen to the radio, huh?
Well, Sirius.
Yeah. I don't think I've
you
tuned into
serious?
anything in a while. That's perfect.
Just our podcast.
Yeah, that's all I listen to on repeat. I got a hot topic. Also
I
came
used
to
to shop
me.
at that store.
Oh yeah, is it? It's still around, I think.
Yes, I used to get my schoolgirl skirts there. When I was in comedy, I wore a lot of schoolgirl skirts.
They have like a lot of sexual-oriented props, if I recall.
I don't remember that.
No, maybe
No.
it was a different Hot
I
Topic.
think you
went
were
to.
thinking of Spencer's gifts.
Oh, Spencer's, yeah.
Yeah, Hot Topic's different.
They were always together, though, weren't they?
Yes, they were really close
Like
by.
sister companies. Mm-hmm. Sweet.
What's your Hot Topic?
So it also came from the Abraham Cruise, and it is kind of a spin-off on our past episode of Quality Questions, but it was basically the idea of every response being completely optional. I was on a run the other day, and this idea really settled in. You don't owe anyone any particular response to anything or any response at all. And this phrase kept coming to mind, which now I recognize from the last episode, is my inner being. And a lot of times it says, don't touch it, don't touch it. There'll be like things people are speaking or offering as like a vibration. And I realized I don't have to respond at all. And we were kind of touching on this a little bit in the last episode, but the idea that you can simply hold a space for the person, but like not touch the topic at all, and finding immense power in seeing it kind of as a hot potato and being like, if I do anything with this, I'm calling more of it to me, and realizing I can just sit in silence almost like a puppy and not have to respond in any particular way to anything.
I love that because it also gives people the space. There's several things involved in that. Number one, if someone's talking and you are not responding, in my experience, they feel seen.
Yes.
They feel heard. They feel accepted. They feel loved.
Yes.
Because we interrupt, even with our yeses, like that. Like
Yes, like what I'm doing right now.
Exactly. Even the nodding of the head to acknowledge that you hear someone sometimes interrupts their process.
Yes. I'm so into what you're saying, I can't stop. You're like a delicious Big Mac, which I love. Everything you're saying. Sorry, go on. I'll see if I can contain myself.
And the other thing is, it gives them the respect and the space to answer their own questions. Because I don't have anybody else's answers. They do. Right? You're hilarious.
Wow, it is challenging to just sit here. It's because everything you're saying is so delicious and so resonant. It's like you were saying, when you lean in, the body knows whether you're leaning away or leaning in. I'm just like leaning in. Yes.
Well, you can tell too. You can read the situation. It's not like I'm pouring my heart out and I need something.
Yes.
Right? I'm sharing my highest truth and my highest excitement.
Yes.
You can say yes. You can say hallelujah.
Amen, sister. Yes. I really see that idea so powerfully. And I started thinking back to circumstances where I was frequently like spewing fear or negativity unconsciously many years ago, and realizing sometimes when people just sat silently, I would almost, even though I was totally unconscious, I would stop and be like, wait, like it was almost like a check within myself when someone offered no response to something. And frequently I might be really angry. I remember a few times talking to a customer service person and being furious, and they were just letting me roll. And after like a few minutes of spewing anger, it would dissipate and slow down. And then I would almost fall into this state where I'm like, I'm really sorry. I don't know what came over me. Because they offered no response, I saw myself and realized what I was doing. And then now I see how I can service other people by having no response sometimes and service myself. There it is. There it is.
Sorry.
That's what this podcast is all about. The double entendre. And that was
All right,
beautifully.
so I want to tell you how I learned this.
Yes.
Like really how I learned it. This is hilarious. So I used to go to these, I don't know, it's like a support group, and it was called Real Love. And it's based on a book about learning how to be unconditionally loving and how to feel unconditionally loved.
Yes.
And we used to make phone calls to one another. Like, okay, like I'm forgetting the truth of who I am, essentially, and believing some bullshit story. And we used to call, people that were on the list. And I put my name on the list, and some guy called me, and like, I didn't recognize the number, but I picked it up. I'm like, and then he's like, oh, I'm calling from Real Love, blah, blah, blah. Well, it was in the summer in Phoenix, and my phone was boiling hot, and it overheated. So in the middle of his conversation, the phone died. And then this guy later blogged about it. He's like, I never felt so seen or heard because I wasn't on the other end anymore. Interrupting him. I'm like, okay, I could learn a lot from this. And I did.
Yeah.
And I applied it. Ever since that moment, like it was like in my face, how often I was saying, tell me more, like whatever.
Right.
Interrupting.
Like yeah.
Or, if someone's crying and you interrupt them and hand them a box of tissues, it's like, are you doing it for them really, or are you making yourself a little more comfortable?
This is profound for me right now, actually, because I'm realizing how much, even in sweet excitement, I'm nodding yes and like all in on everything you're saying.
Nod.
But there is huge power in exactly what you're saying,
Just
like quietly listening and holding the space.
Yeah.
Shit, I didn't realize how profound this episode was going to be for me. This is like really a core
big.
idea.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you another example. So I have a good friend who's a coach, and she knows I'm a coach, and she was going through a divorce. And I just had this like intuitive hit to reach out to her. We don't talk that often. And I said, hey, how you doing? She's like, oh, I'm in this shit cycle, man. I'm like, would you like some support? She's like, well, I don't want to be coached. And this is like through text. I'm like, I would never coach you. Like, this is just not what I would do. So I said, look, I have the capacity, which I love that word. I think it takes a lot of the personalization, like when we take things personally, it takes it out. I have the capacity to just hold space for you. I said, I will not say a thing until you invite me to, that you have my word. So she's like, okay then, all right, fine. Like, she's still reluctant. She's still not believing it because it's so uncommon.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of people that will do it. So I called, or she called, whatever, and we talked. Well, she talked. I sat there. I sat there with an open heart. I said nothing. A lot of times, if this is difficult for me, like in the beginning it was, I would just hit mute. So instead of, if I was like, every time I would do it, I'm like, oh, there it is. But I was muted, so they didn't hear it.
Yeah.
So it's good to practice, like mute yourself. If you can't control yourself yet, which it's not reasonable to think that you could, but just to practice like being silent and just opening your heart and accepting that person no matter what. And the other thing is not needing to say anything, not needing to validate that you matter. Because it's not about you. And that was me, like, oh, I better say something brilliant to make sure that they know I matter and that I'm smart or whatever. And that's the opposite of the point. The point is to be open. And it's fascinating. She also blogged about it. Like, she wrote on social media, like, she's like, I've never felt so loved. Like, so accepted, so held. I did nothing. Like, energetically, yes, I did something. But I did nothing except control myself.
Wow.
Which it wasn't, because I'm used to it now. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm practicing it right now. I didn't realize
There's
how
a
much.
calmness about you
Yeah.
that I have never sensed.
And I'm observing, and now I have to pick this up because I'm observing it in myself and toss it out there. I'm realizing when I'm really excited about what someone's talking about, I'm like, you're like a delicious burger, what you're saying. And I'm like, yeah, I want to like hop onto it. I'm realizing it's frequently in the non-preferred emotions that people are doing that it's easier to hold in silence. Now I have to observe myself when I'm surrounded to see if I'm actually being silent when someone's offering a vibration I don't prefer. But I'm wondering if it's advantageous in the idea of creating your own reality to like lean in excitement to what someone's saying? Because do you ever find when someone's like exhilarating, like, oh my God, the best thing ever happened to me, like that you would you sit in complete like stillness then too? Or would you be like, oh my God, tell me what happened?
Well, yeah. It's different. Like it depends. Like you'll notice when you and I are having a conversation, I wait until you are finished almost every time before I speak. I mean, sometimes I'll say yes, right? But I wait until you finish. And that comes from a Native American tradition, like one speaker at a time. Like whoever has the talking stick has the floor. And I find it very respectful in general. Like I don't think we operate that way as a culture very often. Oh, look at you having trouble. You're like, oh man.
It's so exciting what you're saying. I want to interrupt to say it's so cool you don't interrupt. Wow, there's a paradox.
But it's respectful. And then also in this real love thing that I was talking about in the beginning, interrupting people, their subconscious mind reads as an attack. When we interrupt someone, we are attacking them. And just knowing that, I'm like, fuck, I never want to do that to anybody. Like, why do I want to attack someone I love who's sharing their highest truth with me? I don't. Oh, John.
This is the ultimate experiment. I'm doing it in real time. Are you sensing? What are you sensing? What's your perception?
Of you right now?
Yeah, of me
It's really,
with intention on silence.
It's really funny because there's a double-edged thing with you. Like the energy is like, it's coming out of your eyes, like in a way, it's like coming out sideways because you're like trying to hold it in. I could see you thinking about holding it in. And it's almost like I said, like you're sitting on your hands, even though you're not. You're crossing your arms, which is like a way to contain yourself.
Yes. Or
maybe to soothe yourself. Now you're going to start rocking. But it's new. It's a new challenge. Yes?
I'm realizing it's really just happening with you and other people who are delicious to talk to. This vibration of energy is like inside me, and just like you're saying, I'm closing my mouth and I feel it like coming out my ears. Like excitement needs to maybe be expressed, or it doesn't need to be expressed. Excitement like seeks a way out in some form I'm seeing.
Of you.
Yeah.
But what if it's just intention to love someone? And one of the ways we can love someone is to let them finish their sentence.
100%.
And let them feel seen, accepted, heard, and loved.
100%.
This is so funny. I've never seen you like this.
Me neither.
It might not play well on the audio version of this.
It might not.
It might not.
I'm going to sit in meditation with this idea in my inner being, and I intend to receive clarification for myself. I'm hearing an inkling already of the answer, that in excited emotions, since source is expression of excitement and love, that is the expression to lean into. And then when they're in realms of non-preferred emotion, maybe that's stillness. But again, all truths are true. I'm excited to sit with this and practice this more.
And it goes back to that empty-headedness that we were talking about. It's like just being in the moment. What would you have me do? You need do nothing. Well, sit still. Listen. Right? Like, that's one of the main things in A Course in Miracles. You need do nothing.
Yes.
Oh, John, this is so much fun for me.
For me as well, Karen.
You're matching your sweatshirt, which is pink if you're listening.
I'm holding all the energy in, so it's
like one of those cartoons,
bubbling
like
up.
the steam's going to come out of his ears, but it's not anger. It's like excitement, steam.
It's held back excitement. Yes.
What are you going to do? You got to vibrate that.
Probably go for a run or something.
Really?
Yeah.
You can speak now. You have the floor. Here's the talking stick. Here's a
Sweet.
talking fox.
Yes, the talking fox. Should we bring him up for all to see? He's super long.
Yes, he is. He's very long and orange. So have you had experience with, say the opposite. You're telling someone something and they keep agreeing with you or something. How do you feel? We could practice it.
I would say awesome
Yeah,
initially.
John. Yeah, tell me more.
Oh shit! You're giving me reflection here, huh?
Of course I'm giving you a reflection. Isn't that what you wanted?
Yes, that is. I don't know where to go from here.
Oh, poor John.
I am gonna sit in silence more in recognition of this.
I feel really like almost victorious that I gave you something to really think about. I gave you pause. I actually shut him up. Everybody write down this date, whatever the date is.
This is profound. I love when realizations occur when we're actually recording like this.
I know. But
Yeah.
I mean, in my story is very humbling. Like I would have, who knows when I would have gotten this lesson if my phone hadn't overheated and someone felt the most loved when I was not on the phone. I mean, that's hysterical.
It is.
That gave me a
Paradox.
lot of information.
Yes.
Oh, come on. Permission to speak.
All right.
Give
Permission to
yourself
speak
permission.
freely. Oh, yeah.
Wow, look at that. His wheels are turning. I could see them.
Yeah.
So practice it with your wife.
Yes.
Practice just listening
Yes.
without responding.
Yes. Yes.
Unless she says, what do you think? Because people
Yes.
will invite you to speak if they want you to.
Yeah, I'm seeing now, I find it easier in like non-preferred or non-exciting circumstances, but it could just be what I think. I'm excited to actually observe myself now going forward and
Yeah.
seeing how it actually plays out. You're right, there's definitely a thing of like over eager, maybe. I don't know. A lot of people like Bashar and Abraham are like, when you're in your exhilaration of excitement, roll with it. Like, I was just listening to a Bashar episode where he's like, a lot of people will be like, you gotta slow down or like go careful. I mean, speaking's one thing, but just with life, when you're like exhilarated and stuff is rolling, if you do in exhilaration need to check yourself, or if that's the inner being like absolutely exploding with creative potential, if energy or if emotion is what's actually creating, then actually I've been asking for this. I've been like, show me more emotions, a bigger range of emotions, more types of elevated emotions. And I was curious if embracing the highest emotions I'm capable of now are what births like the next level or brings the whole scale up, where what used to be like happy is now like sad, and what used to be elated is now happy, right? Like the whole
Right,
scale
yes.
adjusts as you start to tip
Yeah.
up.
It is interesting because as you observe it, I don't remember what I was going to say.
Oh, I love when that happens.
I know.
That's when you're totally in the moment.
Yeah. I don't remember what you were saying.
It'll come back.
It'll come back when it's meant to.
But yeah, to like circle back around to the core idea though of no response needed, there it is.
I
Oh,
remember.
Yes, tell me.
So for me, you were talking about the high vibration emotions. Unconditional love is, for me, one of the highest ones. I don't remember what the scale looks like, but unconditional love and acceptance, not needing anybody to be any different and loving them. And then also not needing to prove that I have value. That's a really big one for most humans in interactions. And I just caught this like within the last year, and I didn't catch it. Somebody caught it for me. But that I was needing to prove that I had value or that I had, something smart to say. But the silence doesn't allow for that. And it allows the other person to really be the center and to be like just the recipient of all that love. And it is juicy.
Yes.
It's juicy to be in that.
Yes.
That's reminding me like that I could ask for that. I could
Yes.
ask somebody to give me that.
Yes.
Which I don't normally do. I'm usually like, oh yes, I have capacity, but I never ask anybody else.
Yes.
So that's my stretch.
Yes.
Is more on the receiving end.
Absolutely. That was one of the core themes from my QHHT session, was my inner being was telling me to focus more on receiving, and the idea of receiving, that reality is constantly offering love, but in choosing to be less than or needing to prove, it's not allowing for the receiving. But it was saying the female is a symbol, at least in my world or in the physical human world, of receiving, because females seem to be more on the attractive side. They draw towards them, or I guess in the male-female gender idea, females generally attract the males, and the males are the ones who are like taking action towards something.
Right.
So they're kind of like symbolic of those different types of energies. So my inner being was like, sit more in the feminine idea of attracting rather than you've explored taking action towards doing for long enough.
Yeah.
Play more with receiving. And what a ironic paradox that the challenge to receive, it should be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not in our society. I mean, that's like a big issue, especially for women. It's very interesting because caretaking is actually masculine because it is active. It's doing. Actually allowing people to give to you, allowing people to take care of you or to give you gifts or do things for you is feminine.
Yes.
So a lot of women, especially in this society, are off balance because they're working, they're taking care of kids, they're taking care of their husband or partner, and just doing. And the biggest stretch for most of the women that I deal with, which are like high achieving, successful women, is actually receiving or asking for support. Oh my gosh. There's a lot of stories around that. Asking for support.
Yes. Yeah. Geez, now I'm forgetting my thoughts too. That idea of receiving, yeah, totally lost my train of thought. I'm sure it'll come back.
It'll come back.
Yes.
It will.
It will.
But like the asking for support, for me, I made it mean like I was weak. I couldn't do it on my own. There was something wrong with me. Rather than I'm worthy of support. I don't have to do it by myself. People want to support me.
Yes.
People will feel good to have the opportunity to support me and to maybe even the balance a little bit because I've been typically a giver.
Yeah, presumably in the idea of all creation being equally real and valid and just a matter of what you focus on, then receiving or allowing people to take care of you is just as valid as anything else. Yeah, beautiful. Beautifully said.
Thank you. You ready to
take
wrap?
the fox for a little bit? Yeah, sure.
The fox says, John.
Is that a high five? Are we
It's a high five.
Are we wrapping the episode or wrapping like yo check it?
I think we could rap.
We can wrap.
I mean, I can't rap like yo, but I could rap the episode.
Yes. All right.
I know my limits.
Yes.
My daughter can rap. I am not she.
I am him.
I'm her.
Referencing a past episode with the fox. Peace, everyone.
Bye. Thanks for watching, listening.